Hey, it's Alan Berg. I'm so happy to be here with Phil today.
And Alan, what's the best sales advice you've ever gotten?
Ask for the sale. If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Ooh, that's so simple and yet so powerful. So when did you learn that advice, Alan, or when have you given that advice?
I give that advice all the time. As a matter of fact, my latest book, I almost called it that. Instead, I called it Stop Selling and Help Them Buy, which is the next best piece of advice. So I have these cards that I give my customers that say, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. Because one of the problems that I've found, it's kind of universal. It doesn't matter what business you're in, no matter how much you love your product, no matter how much you love, you believe in it, believe in the results, no matter how much you love your job, you can get them to the 1 yard line. And if you don't ask for the sale, you don't get it because it's not up to the customer to say, yeah, let's do this. It's up to you to ask so that they'll say, yes, let's do this.
So how do you ask, Alan? Give me an example.
If Well, let's talk about a service business. So you're in a
Okay.
service business and you're talking to somebody about what they need. First of all, don't sell products and services. Sell the results of those products and services because nobody needs the product and service. Like you don't need a vacuum cleaner to sit. You need a vacuum cleaner because you want to clean the floor. Why do you want to clean the floor? Oh, because you have a baby and you want that baby to be on a clean floor, or you have customers coming into your shop and you want the floor to be clean, right? So, what is the reason that they need your product and service is what you should be asking and finding out. It's different if you're cold calling versus if you're responding to an inquiry, because responding to an inquiry, somebody already shows that they need the product or service and they need a result. You just have to find out why they need that result. So an example would be, again, let's say you're selling vacuums, right? So somebody comes in, they say, I'm looking for vacuums, and you say, great. So tell me about the space that you're going to be in. Not tell me the vacuum you need. Tell me about the space. How big is the place? Where are the plugs, right? How long of a cord are you going to need for this? How often is it going to get used? Is it a hotel and it's somebody who's vacuuming all day long, right? Or is it somebody who's vacuuming once a week in their home? Right. And then when they tell you what they need, you say, okay, so what I heard from you is that this is how you're going to use it. This is what you need. You're carrying it upstairs. So you want it to be lightweight. You need a long cord because you're going in there. I got this model over here. It has all of those things there. It's got a warranty of 5 years. It's got all this. Does that sound like what you need? Yeah. Great. So should I wrap that up now?
That's pretty simple. That's definitely asking for the sale, Alan.
Right. But I didn't say, do you want to buy this vacuum cleaner now? I said, this is the results that you want based upon what I heard you say. Should we go ahead and get this one so you can start doing what you came to me for? And I don't care if you're selling airplanes or if you're selling weddings or whatever you're selling, it's the same thing. It's when somebody comes to you, why do they need what they're asking for? Right? If you're selling products and services, somebody always sells it cheaper. Right. So Dyson comes out with their turbo whatever vacuum cleaner, then everybody else copies it and has a turbo whatever vacuum cleaner. And some people are going to buy the Dyson because it's got the Dyson name on it. And some are going to go, I get turbo power over here. I can get the Hoover, or I can get the Electrolux, or I can get the whatever. It seems like it'll give me enough. If someone can't perceive a difference between your results and somebody else's results, they're going to buy the cheaper results because they seem to be the same. And a lot of it is tangible and a lot of it is intangible. So if you walk to a parking lot, take a look at the cars. All of those cars made it to that parking lot. No matter how old, no matter how new, no matter how expensive, no matter what brand name is on them, they all made it there. Why did that person who just got out of the Mercedes buy a Mercedes and the person who got out of a Hyundai buy a Hyundai when it's possible that the Hyundai person can afford the Mercedes? Right? And certainly the Mercedes person can afford the Hyundai because it's more expensive than that. So why did they do that? Well, that's an intangible. Because tangibly, if you look on paper, right, or if you look on a screen and you compare the two cars side by side, took the names off and just compared the two cars side by side, they look pretty darn similar, right? Feature wise. I mean, certainly from the basics, right? Steering wheel, wheels, and tires and seats. But these days, they all have 18 airbags and Bluetooth and anti-lock brakes and all these things, right? So you look on paper like, well, they kind of look the same, but they're not. And the fact that people perceive a difference is why someone will pay more than somebody else.
Yep. And that comes into play with the demo. How do we do a demo? So with that, let me bring you on our sponsor here. All right, sales superstars, let's talk about the secret sauce to sealing a deal. Killer product demo. Crafting a top-notch demo can feel like juggling flaming swords while you're riding a unicycle. It's a mix of business savvy, technical wizardry, and input from every Tom, Dick, and Harry in your organization. Imagine if you treated demoing like a well-oiled operation, just like product and revenue ops. Well, stop imagining, because that's where Demo Stack struts in. Ever had that gut-wrenching moment mid-demo when your software decides to throw a temper tantrum? You're in the zone, pitching your heart out, and bam! Your screen's not playing ball. Enter Demo Stack, our demo-saving hero. They give you, the sales maestro, the power to run seamless, customized demos every single time with no coding skills required. Remember, folks, cut the demo pains. Demo Stack is your demo operations platform, empowering sales leaders to accelerate sales cycles. Want to see the magic for yourself? To find out more about Demo Stack or to see it in action, you'll see it in the show notes, or you can go to demostack.com. That's DemoStack, DEMOSTACK.com. All right, so Alan,
Yeah.
let's talk a little more about the fun that comes with that conversation that we have, right? We're asking questions, we're trying to determine need, we're demonstrating that we have value that matches what their needs are. What else do we need to do there to make sure that that is successful?
So the first thing is asking the right kind of questions. Are we asking questions that get them thinking about the results of choosing us, or are we asking questions that are giving us only information about products and services? Because again, ultimately, we need to get to the why you need this, not the do you need this, especially if it was an inquiry that came in. If the inquiry came in, there's a need. Is it today? Is it tomorrow? Is it next week, next year? There's a need, right? I cut my teeth in the car business long time ago. Somebody walked into a showroom. They needed a car, wanted a car, thought about they wanted a car. And back then, this is BI, before the internet. Back then, within 72 hours of someone coming to a showroom, they were likely to buy a car. Now, I think it's even closer because people are doing their research online, so they can do things that they couldn't do back then. They had to come and get a brochure from me back then. They don't have to do that now. They can get everything online. So if the need is already established, you got to figure that you're in a short list of people they're talking to once you get an inquiry. I always tell people, picture this. How many people in your market, in your category of what you sell, are there as a possibility? Now, I don't mean in the same price point, in the same quality, whatever. I mean just totally, right? I work a lot in the wedding and event space. That's my main space, right? How many DJs or photographers or dress shops are there in the area? And the answer is a lot, right? And then you could expand that to the online and all that kind of stuff. But by the time any of us make an inquiry when we're looking to buy something, we've cut that list down to the ones that we want to have the conversation with now. Doesn't mean there isn't a secondary list, but our primary list has been cut down, and it's filtering, and we all have to do it. It's called the paradox of choice. We want to know we've seen all the choices. Once we've seen all the choices, we can't decide because there's too many choices. I can just go on Amazon and search for anything, right? Then you have the answer there. So what do we do on Amazon? We click Prime. Right? Why do you click Prime? Because it cuts 8,000 choices down to 7,000 choices or whatever it is. And then it's Prime by 11 a.m. and Prime by 8 a.m. and Prime, why the hell isn't it here yet? Right? That's the next one. I push the button and it appears like Star Trek or something. So that filtering cuts us down to the number of choices that we're going to say, all right, I'm going to go take a look at this, right? I'm going to reach out to this company because I need a new HVAC unit. I'm going to reach out to this company because I need a new vacuum cleaner, because I need a DJ for my wedding, whatever it is. So when they reach out, in a perfect world for you, they're only reaching out to one company, right? They heard about you, they read your reviews, they did their research, and their friends are always like, you got to use them. Like, we live in a neighborhood, there's 349 homes. We have an email group among the homes over here. People are always putting out something. Hey, I need a dermatologist. Hey, I need a car seat. Hey, I need a whatever. So and if enough people, that's how I got my primary care doctor. If enough people like, you have to use this one, that, you have to use that one, that's the one. So that's the one I went to, right? They got lucky. I went to one, but it's usually 3 or 5, right? We have this small group. Why? If we've never bought something, we need something to compare it to. We need a benchmark, right? A friend of both of ours, Phil M. Jones, he talks about how all budgets are made up. Right. So we set a budget and we say we want to spend X amount of dollars. And then we start looking and find out, oh, our budget was wrong. right? Because our budget wasn't based on history, right? When you have history, like I just got a new Apple Watch. This is my, I don't know, my fourth one, maybe something like that. So I knew how much they cost before I even started looking. I had it on my head. Okay, it's going to be around $400, give or take, depending on which features I get. Yeah, sure, I can spend $800, $900. I can get the Hermes edition for $1,200 or whatever, but I could also get the cheapy, old version, but it's still a new watch for a little bit less. I had history. I had framing, right? That's what it is. We frame that decision. When we don't have framing, we have to reach out and say, okay, let me talk to somebody. And then I might need to talk to somebody else to see what I don't know and didn't hear from them. I might need to talk to somebody else and say, is this price the right price? Not whether I can afford it or not. Is it the right price? Because sometimes you get two prices, they're close, and you're like, well, I guess that's about the right price. Sometimes you get two prices and they're way far apart. Now you need a third one to say, well, who's wrong? And I say who's wrong because it isn't the high one that's always wrong. It could be the low one that's wrong. It could be that, the bait and switch price. It could be the lower quality price or whatever. But since we're buying results, we decide, is it worth it to spend more to get better results, or perceived better results, I should say. And why do I say perceived? You'll never know if the results are better because you don't have the other one to compare it to. Right? If you decide to go and buy a vacuum cleaner and you're like, okay, here's a vacuum. How do you know the other one would have been better? You don't. Now, if you perceive the other one would have been better and you value those things, then you'll spend more money and get the other one. And you don't know if it's actually better. You just think, I'm thinking it was better, especially with services, right? A speaker, a consultant. How do you know another consultant would have been better or worse? You don't know it, but your perception was, this is the one that's the right one for me. So what you're trying to do when you're questioning is talk to them about results so that they feel, I need the results that only you can give me, as opposed to I need results, right? Every vacuum is going to give you a clean floor. Every car is going to get you where you're going, right? Whatever it is that you're selling is going to get you something that looks similar. But if they perceive they want yours, they have to pay your price to get it. So the mistake a lot of people are making is they're just talking about the features and the product or service instead of talking about the customer's needs. So how do you do this is, if you're talking, you're not learning anything. If they're talking, now you're learning something. So are you involving them in a conversation, or are you just spitting out features and benefits like you're the Disney tour guide, and on your right is Magic Mountain, on your left is Cinderella's castle, right? You're not learning anything about the people on the tram. You're just telling them about features. Anybody can do that.
Yeah, being a tour guide when you're selling software is especially bad because they don't know what the heck is possible even. You take them on a crazy tour and they're like, where am I going? And I think that's what's a big mistake for folks is they don't ask enough questions. So how do we ask enough questions without seeming like we're annoying, Alan?
So instead of telling somebody a feature, can you turn it into a question? Because if I think of all the software that I've ever bought, including software I have right now, there's way more features I don't use than I do use, right? So you need to find out which are the features that are going to say to them, yeah, I need that. Then there might be somewhere they're like, oh, wow, it does that too. Okay, that's cool. I wouldn't buy it because of that, but it's cool that it also comes with that. It's like buying a car and finding out it had a feature you didn't know about. My dad had a lease one time, 3-year lease, and at 35 months, he finds a button on the dashboard that he'd never pushed, and he pushes the button, and a sunshade goes up in the back window, right? And he's like, 3 years, I didn't know I had that. There you go, right? So that was a bonus because clearly he wasn't looking for it. So if you're selling software, what are the main features that people come to you? Or can you say, hey, listen, when people ask me about our product, there's so many things that it can do for so many different people. What I find is that these 3 things are the 3 main things that people come to us for. Are these things an issue for you? Right? Actually, I'll give you a good software as a service. Well, actually, there's just software example. A company came to me because I'm in the wedding and event industry with somebody that happens to be a DJ and one job, and then the other job is they work for a company that customizes the Zoho platform. And they were not having success with their email marketing. And I looked at their emailing and I saw why, because it was like, we can do this, and this. We. It was all about them. We. It wasn't about the customer. I said, why don't we try something different? Why don't we try a subject line that says, which of these is keeping you up at night? And then you go inside and it would say, hey, Phil, we find that when people, sign on to the Zoho software platform, that they love the idea of it, but one of these three things is their biggest problem. And then it listed the three things that they told me were the biggest issue, right? Whether it was the onboarding or whether it was the getting up to speed or whether it was the, whatever the features were, the problems were. So we listed those three problems and then said, if you said yes to one or more of these, we can help you with whatever, right? So they sent that email out instead of their one that was just laden with blah, 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 blah. And they start getting people coming back and saying, yeah, that's my problem. That's it. Matter of fact, I did an email like that just yesterday, right? The similar thing to that. And I've been seeing a lot of sales systems people have been pushing on my social feeds, right? Specifically for wedding and event venues, because that being my vertical, that's what I'm getting. And of course, as soon as you click on one,
Get them all.
you're getting them all. Yeah, I clicked on a suitcase today at lunch, and that's all my feed has right now is all the suitcases. So the idea of these sales systems, I'm going, there's no one size fits all, right? Everything needs to be customized to someone. But the way they're making it sound, it's like, hey, if you have a wedding venue, this system, you can do this. So I sent an email out. My subject line was, don't buy my sales system. And you open it up, it says, because I don't have one. Right. And it says if your social feed is like mine, it's filled with all these sales systems. And in over 30 years in sales, I've never seen a one size fits all system that's good for everybody. Right. If you're seeing, if you're feeling any of these problems, right. Or do any of these, can you relate to any of these? And it was bullet points. And number one is you're responding to leads, but you're getting ghosted more than you think you should. You're not getting as many inquiries as you felt you should right now. You're not converting the inquiries to conversations. You're not converting the conversations to sales. And I said, if you're feeling one or more of these things, I can help you with a customized solution that's just right for your business, not an off-the-shelf system. Right. And I got 3 or 4 people that reached out for that, because you're talking to them in their language about their pain, right? Their thing that they want to get fixed. The pain of paying you has to be outweighed by the pain of I want your results, because otherwise it's an expense. But as soon as they say, no, I actually need those results because it's costing me profits, it's costing me time, it's costing me whatever, yeah, I'll pay you to eliminate those things. And that's the idea. What too many salespeople don't do, and what I didn't do early in my career, was learn how to ask better questions to find out what they need. Right? Going back to my sales example, my car sales example, if somebody comes into a showroom and just imagine the sportiest car that they have in red as a convertible is in the middle of the showroom floor, right? That's what they do. And men, I'm going to say that, but men, like moths to a flame, are going to walk in, see that red car, and go sit in it. What I originally would do is go try to sell you that car. What I learned to do is go over and say, hey, thanks for coming in today. What did you come looking for? And then you find out that baby number 3 is on the way and they need a minivan, right? But give him a minute. Give him a minute, right? He's not going to have that convertible for at least 18 years. So give him a minute to have his moment, and then show him the sport model of the minivan in red with the fancy wheels and whatever, to make him feel better about the purchase he has to make instead of bad about the purchase he can't make.
That's money, man. Help them feel good about the purchase they did make and not feel bad about the purchase they didn't make.
Right. But
that's money.
The one that he has to make, right? He has to make a certain purchase to get the things. And that might be costing more money than they intended to spend. But when they're happy with the results, they'll be okay with how much more they spent.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. That is awesome. So with that, Alan, let's drop one more big sales nugget, because I think you dropped a lot of stuff in a short time. Give us one more big one for how we can make sure that we're lining up well, we're in alignment with our buyer.
Or in alignment with the buyer. I was going to say, because the next best tip is following up, but actually that's in alignment with your buyer. So let's talk about this. Somebody reaches out to you. They email you, they fill out your contact form, they text you, something like that. You respond, but they don't respond back to you. Okay. Follow up again. And if you don't hear back, try a different method. Because if you're emailing, maybe your emails are going to spam filters, right? Because you may not be seeing that, but they might. And If they started it, because that's what it is when you get an inquiry, they started this, you didn't start this, you follow up until you hear no. The biggest opportunity that everybody listening here, including you and me, Phil, the biggest opportunity we have is someone that has inquired that has not told you no. Because it doesn't mean that they've gotten the results that they want yet from somebody else. It just means that they have not made responding to you a priority, or the way you're responding isn't good. And when I say isn't good, doesn't match them, because almost everything works some of the time. Nothing works all the time. And what you need to find is the thing that works more of the time than what you're doing now. So I'll give you an example. I did a sales training yesterday for a group. So there were 3 people from this company on the call with me, and we had secret shopped them. And so far, as of today, between last year and this year, we've secret shopped over 440 companies in my industry. Okay. So we secret shopped them. And the good news is they followed up 5 times. That was good. Right. And I'll tell you why it's good, because 18% of the companies that we've shopped never responded at all. Just think about that. Right. Just imagine your contact form being filled out and 18% never followed up at all. 0. Okay. So let's go to the rest of them. Of the rest of them, only 45% try a second time. So just trying a second time, you're better than more than half of the companies out there, right? Actually, more than that, because it was 45% of the 82%. It wasn't even 45% of the total. 30% 3 times, 20% 4 times. And then it starts to drop off after that. We stopped counting at 10, and we have companies that have done way more than that, but we stopped counting at 10. So here's what we found in the shopping with them. Their first response came back quickly, but it was 4 screens long on a mobile phone. Right? Now, you don't want to look at more than 1 screen. Theirs was 4. It had links to videos that took me to Vimeo. And at the end of the video, there was no call to action. There was no contact information. So there were 2 of those. One to testimonial videos, which was a really good one. It was a compilation, kind of like I have on my website, a compilation of a few seconds of one person, a few seconds, a few seconds, a few seconds. So you get a lot of people into this minute or, minute and a half testimonial video, but no call to action at the end. There was a video to the services that they offer. Well done, professionally done, no call to action at the end. There was a link to a PDF with their packages that was so small on my phone, you couldn't read it. Okay. So because it was a landscape PDF. So when it comes up on your portrait phone, it really just shrunk it down. It took up like a third of the screen. Just imagine an 8.5 by 11 taking up a third of your screen. I mean, it's ridiculous. It didn't end with a question. Therefore, it was a dead end. It had a link to make an appointment, but that was one of 5 different links that were in this thing. It was so confusing. There wasn't a clarified message. So when we got done with our 2-3 hour sales training call, their new email response fits on 1 screen of a phone, ends with 1 question, and then they're going to follow up if they don't, which they're doing, but they're going to follow up differently. And instead of trying to get somebody to make an appointment, which is what they want, they're going to do what the customer wants, which is get a response from someone. And in their PS, they're going to say, if you would like to make an appointment, click here and it'll go to their calendar. So you're still offering the phone call or the appointment. You're just not making it the only thing that you're asking, which in their case was, look at this video, look at this video, go look at this PDF that you can't read, go click on this, which was another link. I forget where that one went, or make an appointment, right? There was all these things and then never actually asked the question. So think about a conversation. If you and I are talking, right? You've been asking me a question, I've been answering, right? That's the conversation. They didn't ask a question, therefore the conversation ended.
Too many dead ends. Too many opportunities to suck there.
And well, you know what a dead end sounds like? Let me know if you have any questions. I look forward to hearing from you. Those are all dead ends, because you're not saying, I need you to respond to this specifically. You're saying, let me know if you have any questions. I look forward to hearing back from you at some point undetermined in the future, because the other card that I give to my clients and audiences is this one, which says ambiguous next steps bring ambiguous results. Right? So if we don't know what the next step is, it's not going to happen. If I don't ask you a question, there's no clear next step, because what of those 5 things are those people going to do? Are they going to make an appointment? Are they going to go look at the video, go look at the other video? Are they going to go look at a PDF they can't read? Are they going to go look at there was another page, I forget whatever it was. That's not clear. But if I ask you a question, right? So somebody reached out to me, filled out from the email I did. They said they're interested in remote sales training. So I reached back and I said, hey, thanks so much for reaching out. Is this going to be just for you, or will there other people be joining us?
That's
and that
easy.
was it. And that was it. And she came back and said, it'll be me plus 3, maybe 4. And I said, terrific. What are some of the main things that had you reaching out to me, and how soon did you want to do it? That was my next follow-up. I'm just waiting. I don't see in my email if she's responded yet. Right. But that's the way a conversation goes, as opposed to me then dumping 7 paragraphs of how I can help them with remote sales training and a link to it. No, I want to get an idea first of what they're looking for first to see if I'm the right fit. If I'm not the right fit, I'm not going to pursue it. I'm going to refer them to somebody else. If I am the right fit, I'm going to be like a dog with a bone, and I'm not letting go until you tell me no or yes.
There you go. There you go. Well, Alan, folks can get a lot more of your stuff at alanberg.com. You've got a podcast. You've got how many books now, my friend?
I'm working on number 11 right now.
Number 11. Fantastic. And you're a big whiskey lover. If you hold that sign up again, Alan. That's on a whiskey cork that Alan has. Oh, yeah.
Oh, which one? Oh, yeah, that one. Any of those. Okay. Yeah.
See, yeah. If you don't ask, the answer is no. Held on a whiskey cork. So, Alan, my last question to you is a simple one. If you were stuck with just one whiskey or bourbon to drink for the next week, just one, what would it be?
At any price point, or are you going to say like a reasonable one?
Under reasonable one, under $150.
Oh, wow. You're really giving me a wide one over there. I have a bottle of Yellowstone. That was a limited release, a 2023 limited release that I was given as a gift. That is just superb. So if I had to go to my shelves right now and say which of those would I keep, because it's tough, because I also have an E.H. Taylor small batch. That's wonderful. I have a Stranahan's that was finished in red wine casks, a Stranahan single malt. So, I mean, there's so many. I have 4 bottles of Blanton's here, there's so many. But if just my mind going to every time I drink it, I'm like, this is just so nice. I'd probably go with that. I don't want to insult any of the other bottles on my shelves, because I have so many nice ones. We're probably sitting at about, it might be down. We might be only at about 70 bottles right now.
Wow. One from every state, no less, right?
Well, I did get one from every state. I did get a whiskey from every state. Tried to get a bourbon from every state. I was able to get a whiskey from every state. Some of them are whiskeys that include bourbon, but they're not bourbon. A little fun fact, like if you take a bourbon, let's take Angel's Envy, another just a wonderful drink, Angel's Envy. It's technically not bourbon because they finished it in port wine barrels. So the fact that they have refinished it in the port barrel no longer makes it bourbon, because bourbon has to be, it is bourbon finished in port. That is correct. That's what it says on the bottle, is that, but it's technically not bourbon anymore. So my Alaska and Hawaii bottles have bourbon and other whiskey blended together. So it said on the label. So I have that. So, but I did get one from every state. That's when you you gave me a wonderful idea of starting to blend different ones together. And you created a monster with that.
I did.
You do know the Berg bourbon blend that we have. We're on batch number 22 of blending together here, our mad science projects. And then as of about 3 weeks ago, I'm officially an executive bourbon steward, because I took a class at Moonshine University. Yes, it's a real thing, at Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky. So I am an executive bourbon steward.
Very cool.
From the Stave and Thief Society.
Fantastic. Well, again, friends, if you're listening to Alan, he's going to start a bourbon podcast coming up soon, a whiskey podcast. So hang loose for that. Check out alanberg.com. That's ALANBERG.com. Alan's got a lot of sales books, a lot of sales brilliance that you can learn from. He's got a regular podcast as well. It's all about selling. And Alan, I just want to say thanks for being here, man. It's been a real pleasure as always, my brother.
You and I could talk all day long, Phil. So thanks for inviting me to have others listen.